Commander Lisa Chen murdered Captain James Holland on a Tuesday afternoon at 15:43 hours in the ICU at Naval Hospital, Pearl Harbor. She administered a lethal dose of potassium chloride directly into his central line, watched his heart rhythm deteriorate into fatal arrhythmia, called the code exactly 90 seconds later when she was certain he was beyond resuscitation. The death was ruled natural causes cardiac arrest secondary to post-surgical complications. No investigation, no suspicion, no consequences. Lisa had committed the perfect crime, and she was going to get away with it forever, because 27 years as a Navy nurse had taught her exactly how to kill someone in a hospital without leaving any evidence. The motive was simple. Captain Holland had discovered Lisa was stealing narcotics, had confronted her privately, had given her 24 hours to either turn herself in or he'd report her. Lisa had chosen a third option. She'd murdered him, made it look natural, and then used his death to cover up her theft operation by claiming Holland had been the one stealing medications before he died. It was elegant, ruthless, and absolutely undetectable. Lisa Chen was going to retire in 3 years with full honors, a generous pension, and the satisfaction of having destroyed the one person who could have exposed her. This is the story of how she did it, and how she got away with it. Forever, Lisa had been stealing narcotics from Naval Hospital Pearl Harbor for 4 years. Not large amounts, just enough to support her own dependency and sell a modest amount on the side for extra income. She was careful, systematic, used multiple methods to avoid detection. Phantom patients with legitimate-looking medical histories and medication orders, equipment wastage that was never actually wasted. Medications signed out for patients who were discharged before receiving their full doses. She varied her methods, spread thefts across different months, never took enough at once to trigger automated alerts, and for 4 years it worked perfectly. Then Captain James Holland transferred to Pearl Harbor as the new hospital administrator. Former ICU nurse, 25 years of experience, sharp eye for clinical details. Holland started reviewing medication reconciliation reports as part of his quality improvement initiatives, looking for inefficiencies, finding ways to reduce pharmaceutical costs, and he noticed patterns, small discrepancies that individually meant nothing but collectively suggested systematic diversion. He started investigating quietly, pulling detailed pharmacy records, comparing medication orders to patient records, looking for gaps. He found Lisa's phantom patients, found the wastage that never made sense clinically, found the pattern of medications ordered but never documented as administered. Holland confronted Lisa in her office on a Monday morning. "Commander Chen, I've been reviewing medication records. I've found some concerning patterns that trace back to your access codes and your patient assignments." Lisa kept her expression neutral. "What kind of patterns?" "Patients who don't exist. Wastage that doesn't match clinical scenarios. Medications ordered but never charted as given." Holland laid out printouts. "This appears to be systematic diversion over an extended period. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious problem. These discrepancies totaled over $200,000 in medications over the past 4 years. Holland met her eyes. "Lisa, I'm giving you a chance to come forward voluntarily. Turn yourself in. Cooperate with the investigation. Maybe you can avoid criminal prosecution if you admit the problem and seek treatment. And if I don't believe I've done anything wrong, then I'm filing a formal report tomorrow morning. NCIs will investigate. They'll find what I found, and you'll face criminal charges instead of administrative action." Holland's voice wasn't unkind. "I'm trying to help you here, but I can't ignore this. Can I have 24 hours to think about it?" Holland considered. 24 hours. "Come to my office tomorrow morning by 0900. Either tell me you're ready to cooperate, or I'm filing the report." Lisa nodded, watched Holland leave, and started planning his murder. Lisa had 24 hours to commit an undetectable murder. She used them efficiently. First, the method had to look like natural causes, no obvious trauma, no suspicious medications that would show up on routine tox screens. Potassium chloride was perfect, naturally occurring in the body, wouldn't show up as abnormal on standard post-mortem testing, causes fatal cardiac arrhythmia if given in concentrated form. And Lisa had access to concentrated potassium as an ICU nurse. It was kept in the medication dispensing cabinet for legitimate clinical use. Second, the opportunity. Holland was scheduled for a routine colonoscopy the next morning, Tuesday. Standard outpatient procedure. He'd mentioned it in a staff meeting the week before. He'd be in the hospital as a patient, would have for access, would be monitored but not continuously observed. Perfect. Third, the cover-up. She needed to divert suspicion from herself. Needed a reason the investigation into medication theft would stop after Holland's death. She'd claim Holland had confided in her about concerns that he was the one being investigated, that he'd been stressed about facing disciplinary action, that his death, while tragic, had resolved the investigation because the suspect was dead. She'd pivot the evidence to make Holland look like the thief, use the same patterns he'd identified but attribute them to his access codes instead of hers. It required some subtle documentation changes, some careful record alteration, some files that needed to be discovered after his death. But Lisa was good with hospital systems. She knew how to make digital records say what she needed them to say. By Monday evening, she had a complete plan. By Tuesday morning, she was ready to execute it. Captain Holland's colonoscopy was completed at 14:30 hours. He was moved to a recovery bay in the outpatient surgery unit. Standard monitoring, IV access still in place for hydration and any needed medications. Lisa volunteered to help with post-procedure patients. Said she was covering for a colleague who'd called in sick. No one questioned a senior commander helping with patient care. That's what good nurses did. Lisa checked on Holland at 15:30 hours. He was drowsy from sedation but stable. The recovery nurse stepped away to help with another patient. Lisa was alone with Holland. She drew up 40 milliequivalents of concentrated potassium chloride into a 10 milliliter syringe, enough to cause fatal cardiac dysrhythmia within minutes. She injected it directly into Holland's central IV port. Slow push over 30 seconds. Holland didn't notice. Too sedated, too trusting. Lisa disposed of the syringe in the Sharps container, went to check on other patients. At 15:43 hours, Holland's cardiac monitor alarmed. Ventricular tachycardia transitioning to ventricular fibrillation. Lisa rushed back. Call a code. The recovery nurse initiated the code. Lisa started CPR. The code team arrived within 90 seconds. They worked for 43 minutes. Advanced cardiac life support. Multiple rounds of medications. Defibrillation attempts. Nothing worked. Holland's heart wouldn't respond. Time of death, 16:26 hours. The attending physician examined Holland. Probably a massive pay or cardiac event. He was healthy otherwise. Just bad luck. Should we notify the medical examiner? The recovery nurse asked. For a post-procedure cardiac arrest in a patient with no suspicious circumstances. No need. This is unfortunate, but not unexplained. I'll certify cause of death as cardiac arrest secondary to post-surgical complications. Lisa stood in the corner, looking appropriately shocked and sad. Inside, she felt nothing but satisfaction. Holland was dead. The investigation was over, and no one suspected a thing. Lisa waited 2 days before discovering evidence that Holland had been the one stealing medications. She went to the Chief of Nursing, Commander Patricia Walsh. "Ma'am, I need to report something sensitive. Captain Holland confided in me before he died that he was concerned about a medication audit. He seemed worried he might be facing investigation. Investigation for what? He didn't give details. But I've been reviewing some files since his death, and I found concerning patterns." Lisa presented the doctored records. Medication discrepancies that traced to his administrative access codes. Phantom patients created during times when he was working late. Wastage patterns that don't make clinical sense. Walsh reviewed the evidence, saw what Lisa wanted her to see. "You're saying Captain Holland was diverting medications?" "I'm saying the evidence suggests that possibility, and I'm wondering if his death, the sudden cardiac event, might have been related to substance use. Maybe he was using the medications he was stealing. That's a serious allegation to make about a dead man." "I know, which is why I wanted to bring it to you privately. I don't want to tarnish his reputation unnecessarily. But if there was diversion happening, we need to address it." Lisa's voice was perfectly calibrated, concerned but not accusatory. "Maybe we could investigate quietly, and if it turns out he was involved, we could close the matter without making it public." Walsh made a decision. "I'll review this with the hospital commander. We'll need to audit the pharmacy records, but we'll do it discreetly." The audit happened over the next 2 weeks. Investigators found exactly what Lisa had planted. Evidence suggesting Holland had been using his administrative access to create phantom patients and divert medications. They also found that the pattern had stopped after Holland's death. No new discrepancies in the 2 weeks since he died. The conclusion was obvious. Holland had been the thief. His death had ended the diversion operation. The hospital commander made a decision. We're not going to pursue this publicly. Captain Holland is dead. Pursuing charges against him accomplishes nothing except damaging the reputation of a deceased officer and causing pain to his family. We'll implement new controls to prevent future diversion, but we're closing this investigation. Lisa accepted the decision with appropriate solemnity. I think that's the right choice, sir. No need to cause more pain. The investigation was closed. The case was sealed. Holland's reputation took a minor hit in internal discussions, but nothing that would reach his family or his official record. And Lisa's theft operation, completely hidden, the evidence pointing to her had been destroyed or altered to point at Holland instead. Perfect crime. Perfect cover. Up. Lisa continued stealing, more carefully now, smaller amounts, different methods than before. She'd learned from the close call with Holland. Wouldn't let patterns develop again. Wouldn't take risks that might trigger another investigation. She attended Holland's memorial service, expressed sadness about his death, made a donation to a nursing scholarship in his name. She felt no guilt. Holland had threatened to destroy her career. She'd protected herself. That was survival, not murder. At least that's what she told herself. Holland's widow, Janet, spoke at the memorial. James dedicated his life to improving patient care. He believed in doing the right thing even when it was difficult. I know he'd want his legacy to be excellence in nursing and hospital administration. Lisa listened and felt nothing. Holland's legacy was being the scapegoat for crimes he didn't commit. But Janet would never know that. No one would ever know that. Lisa was safe. Permanently. Lisa was promoted to captain. Her performance evaluations praised her leadership, clinical excellence, and dedication to patient safety. The promotion ceremony was attended by hospital leadership, colleagues, and her family. Her daughter, Rebecca, college senior, flew in from the mainland to celebrate. I'm so proud of you, Mom. Captain Chen, it sounds amazing. Lisa smiled, accepted congratulations, wore her new rank insignia with pride. No one at the ceremony knew she was a murderer and a thief. No one suspected. No one would ever suspect. That night, alone in her quarters, Lisa allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. She'd eliminated a threat, covered her tracks, and advanced her career, all while maintaining her reputation as an exemplary nurse. Some people might call that evil. Lisa called it pragmatism. Holland had been going to destroy her career over medication theft. She'd simply protected herself. That he'd died in the process was unfortunate, but necessary. And the fact that she'd successfully framed him, that was just smart strategic thinking. Lisa poured herself a drink, toasted her reflection in the mirror. To survival, to success, to getting away with it. She had no intention of ever getting caught. Lisa's theft operation had evolved. She'd refined her methods after the close call with Holland. Now she used even more sophisticated techniques. Ghost contracts with medical supply companies that existed only on paper. Equipment purchases that were delivered, but never medications ordered for research protocols that didn't exist. She'd also expanded. Wasn't just stealing for personal use anymore. Had developed a network of buyers, other healthcare workers, dealers, desperate patients willing to pay cash for medications. Over 2 years post-op, she'd stolen another $150,000 in medications and equipment, sold most of it, used the profits to fund her daughter's education and supplement her own retirement savings. The Navy had no idea. The new medication monitoring systems implemented after Holland's theft operation were designed to catch the old patterns. Lisa's new methods bypassed those controls entirely. She attended quarterly meetings on medication safety, sat on committees reviewing diversion prevention strategies. He even gave presentations on learning from past incidents to prevent future theft. The irony wasn't lost on her. She was literally helping design security systems to prevent the crimes. She was actively committing. But that's what made her so successful. She understood the system completely, knew exactly where the vulnerabilities were, exploited them with precision, and she felt no remorse. Not about Holland, not about the theft, not about the patients who might be harmed by diverted medications. Lisa had long ago decided that guilt was a luxury she couldn't afford. Lisa submitted her retirement paperwork. After 30 years of service, she'd be eligible for full pension and benefits. Her retirement ceremony was scheduled for June, 6 months away. She planned to spend retirement traveling, enjoying her grandchildren. and living comfortably on her pension supplemented by the substantial nest egg she'd built from years of theft. She'd even calculated it out. Her official pension plus her illicit savings would give her approximately $120,000 per year in retirement income. More than comfortable. All built on stolen medications and one perfect murder. During her final months of active duty, Lisa was careful, reduced her theft operations, didn't want any last-minute investigations that might delay her retirement. She maintained her exemplary reputation, mentored junior nurses, participated in quality improvement initiatives, prepared her replacement to take over the ICU. Everyone spoke of her impending retirement with sadness. The Navy is losing a great nurse. Pearl Harbor won't be the same without Commander Chen. She set the standard for clinical excellence. Lisa accepted the praise graciously, knowing that her excellence included 4 years of systematic theft and getting away with murder. She counted down the days to retirement, to freedom, to permanent safety from ever being caught. Lisa's retirement ceremony was held on a sunny June morning. Full military honors, speeches praising her 3 decades of service, a plaque commemorating her contributions to Navy nursing. Her family attended, her daughter Rebecca, now a nurse herself, her 2 granddaughters, her ex-husband there to show support despite their divorce years ago. The hospital commander spoke. Captain Chen represents the very best of Navy nursing. 3 decades of excellence, countless patients cared for, numerous nurses mentored, a legacy of professionalism and dedication that will inspire future generations. Lisa stood at attention, accepting the honor, knowing that her legacy included murder and theft that no one would ever discover. She gave a brief speech. Serving in the Navy has been the privilege of my life. I've been honored to care for our sailors, Marines, and their families. I've tried to uphold the highest standards of nursing practice, and I hope I've made a positive difference in the lives of those I've served. The audience applauded. No one detected the irony. No one knew that the highest standards she referenced included standards of deception she'd perfected over years. The ceremony concluded. Lisa retired as Captain Lisa Chen, USN Ret. Full honors, full pension, spotless record. She walked out of Naval Hospital Pearl Harbor for the last time as an active duty nurse, free, safe, successful. The perfect crime was complete. Lisa lived in a comfortable house in Hawaii, traveled frequently, spoiled her grandchildren, enjoyed retirement. She occasionally saw former colleagues. They'd meet for lunch, reminisce about their Navy careers, discuss the current state of military healthcare. Sometimes Holland's name came up. Remember Captain Holland? Such a tragedy that he died so young, and to find out afterward about the medication issues. It was shocking. Lisa would nod sadly. James seemed like such a dedicated administrator. I guess you never really know what someone is struggling with privately. The conversations never lingered on Holland. He'd been dead 5 years. The medication theft investigation had been closed. Life had moved on. Lisa's daughter Rebecca sometimes asked about her mother's career. "Mom, you spent 30 years taking care of people. You must have so many stories." "I do. Most of them are about the incredible nurses I worked with and the resilient patients we cared for." Ever have anything really dramatic happen, like medical mysteries or suspicious cases? Lisa thought about Holland, about injecting potassium chloride into his fore, about watching him die while pretending to try to save him. "Nothing too dramatic," she said smoothly. "Mostly just the normal challenges of military nursing." Rebecca never suspected her mother was lying. Why would she? Lisa was a retired Navy captain with an exemplary record, a grandmother, a respected professional, not a murderer who'd gotten away with it. Holland's widow, Janet, died of cancer. The obituary mentioned that she'd never recovered emotionally from her husband's sudden death and the subsequent discovery of his involvement in medication irregularities. Lisa read the obituary and felt a flicker of something. Not guilt, exactly. More like acknowledgement that her actions had destroyed more than just Holland. Janet had spent 10 years believing her husband had been a thief, had died thinking his legacy was tarnished, all because Lisa had framed him to cover her own crimes. Lisa attended Janet's funeral, expressed condolences to Holland's adult children, made a donation to the cancer charity Janet had supported. Holland's son, Michael, spoke to Lisa after the service. "Captain Chen, thank you for coming. I know my father respected you. He was a good man," Lisa said, and meant it, in a way. Holland had been a good man, honest, dedicated, trying to do the right thing. That's why she'd had to kill him. It's been hard, Michael continued, losing Dad so suddenly, and then finding out about the medication issues he was involved with. Mom never got over it, never stopped defending him, kept saying he wouldn't have stolen medications, that there must be some explanation. Lisa maintained her sympathetic expression. Grief is complicated. Your mother loved your father very much. She did, and she believed in his integrity until the day she died. Michael paused. Part of me wonders if she was right, if maybe the investigation got it wrong, but I guess we'll never know. I guess not, Lisa agreed. They parted ways, Michael never knowing he'd just spoken to the person who'd actually committed the crimes his father had been blamed for. Lisa drove home, poured a drink, sat on her lanai watching the sunset. Jeanette had been right. The investigation had gotten it wrong. Holland hadn't been a thief, but no one would ever prove it. The evidence was gone. The witnesses were dead or retired. The case was closed. Lisa had committed the perfect crime, and she was going to take the truth to her grave. Lisa was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Prognosis, 6 to 12 months. She underwent treatment, chemo, radiation, all the standard interventions. Her daughter Rebecca was with her for appointments. Mum, you're a fighter. You're going to beat this? Lisa knew she probably wouldn't. The cancer was aggressive. Treatment was buying time, not curing disease. She thought about death, about what, if anything, came after, about whether she should feel guilty about Holland. She didn't feel guilty. She felt pragmatic. She'd protected herself. She'd survived. She'd lived a good life on her terms. Holland had been a threat. She'd eliminated the threat. That was survival, not murder. At least that's what she still told herself. Her oncologist was optimistic about extending her life. We might get you 2 years with the right treatment protocol. Lisa agreed to the treatment, not because she felt she deserved to live, not because she felt guilty about deserving to die, simply because she wanted more time with her grandchildren, more travel, more life. The cancer didn't care about her crimes. It would kill her regardless of whether she was guilty or innocent. Justice, apparently, wasn't coming from disease either. Lisa exceeded her prognosis, survived 3 years with stage 4 cancer through aggressive treatment, but eventually, the cancer won. She entered hospice care at home. Rebecca was with her constantly. Mom, is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to say? Lisa thought about confessing, about telling Rebecca that she'd murdered a man and framed him for crimes he didn't commit. But what purpose would that serve? Rebecca would be devastated. Holland's family would be vindicated, but Holland would still be dead. Lisa would die with her daughter hating her. I want you to know I'm proud of you, Lisa said instead. You're an excellent nurse. You honor the profession. I learned from the best, Rebecca said, squeezing her mother's hand. Lisa smiled. Let her daughter believe that. 3 days later, Lisa Chen died peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by family, mourned as a beloved mother, grandmother, and retired Navy nurse. Her obituary praised her 30 years of military service, her dedication to patient care, her mentorship of junior nurses, her contributions to Navy medicine. No mention of murder, no mention of theft, no mention of the perfect crime she'd committed and taken to her grave. Lisa was buried with full military honors, flag-draped coffin, honor guard, taps played over her grave. Her headstone read, Captain Lisa Chen, USN Ret. 1955 to 2043, dedicated nurse, beloved mother and grandmother, served with honor. The ultimate irony, served with honor carved in stone above the grave of a murderer who'd gotten away with it forever. Rebecca Chen was going through her mother's papers, settling the estate, organizing documents. She found a locked box in Lisa's closet. No key. She had to break it open. Inside, detailed records of phantom patients, medication diversion logs, financial records showing illicit income, notes about the Holland problem and how to resolve permanently, and a journal entry dated the day before Holland died. JH has given me 24 hours. I can't let him destroy everything I've built. I know what I have to do. Potassium chloride. For push. Recovery room. It will look natural. No one will suspect. I'm sorry it has to be this way, but I won't let him ruin me. Rebecca sat on the floor of her mother's closet, reading evidence that her mother had been a murderer and a thief. She had several options. Destroy the evidence, protect her mother's reputation, let Lisa rest in peace as an honored veteran, turn it over to authorities, clear Holland's name, expose Lisa's crimes posthumously, contact Holland's family privately, give them closure, but avoid public scandal. Rebecca sat with the decision for 3 days. Then she burned every document in the box, destroyed all evidence, kept her mother's secret, not because she thought Lisa was innocent, but because exposing the truth 23 years after Holland's death wouldn't bring him back, would only destroy Lisa's reputation and cause pain to people who'd already grieved. Rebecca chose to let the dead bury the dead. Holland's name remained tarnished with theft he didn't commit. Lisa's name remained honored with service that included murder. The perfect crime remained perfect forever.